Hi, my name is Wilson Bao. Many people see officers in their day-to-day lives, but there is definitely a lack of understanding of what officers do and what they are about. I'd like to share my ride-along with the campus police and what I have learned from it. Hopefully this will further your understandings as well. To get a ride-along, I had to apply down at the public safety building. When I went down there, they asked me to fill out the form with my personal information, like social security number or driver's license information. They needed this information to run a background check on me. I then waited until corporal screening arranged a time for me to meet with an officer. On November 7th at 11 o'clock, I went down to the public safety building for my appointment. As you can see by our campus map, the public safety building is where the arrow is pointing, right next to the bookstore and the children's area. I would have never guessed that this building is where the campus police was. Now here's the picture of the public safety building. It's really nondescript, so you can see why I didn't know that this was where the campus police was. Behind the building is where all the police cars are. Here is where I met with Officer Yaya. From our conversation, it reveals a lot of things about him. He spent 7 years at this campus department already. He was originally an officer from Peru, and he was also very friendly and easy to talk to, and he's also very willing to answer any questions that I had. He discussed every decision or action that he did to me, so I knew exactly the reasoning of what he was doing. His philosophy is to help people, not to punish. He told me he sees giving a ticket as a last resort, and is willing to work things out and educate people. Overall, he was a very cool guy. Officer Yaya told me about this particular department. It is more community-oriented and service-oriented. And this makes sense as the campus community is a lot more close-knit, unlike a larger community like the county or city police. Since it was more service-oriented, I noticed a difference in his language. Interrogations are interviews, and everything was a lot more informal. Also, Officer Yaya is more willing to call and discuss with everybody before writing a police report and sending to prosecutors. The department is humble. It only has 3 to 4 officers per shift to police 30,000 to 40,000 people. From our conversation, sometimes it's very busy and sometimes it's not. Everyone patrols alone in this department. I'm guessing that's due to the number of officers. And lastly, their primary jurisdiction is Sacramento plus 1 mile out. Officer Yaya said they can go out of the primary jurisdiction if they have to, but usually they try to avoid it. So let me discuss my trip with Officer Yaya. We pretty much patrolled around his beat and did traffic stops. Getting to see what happens every stop was really cool. Where we patrolled seemed to be related to the university. There was the dorms and the parking lots, which we visited. Officer Yaya patrolled the place with the formal juvenile center down on Power Inn, because the university owns the land there. It was interesting. He told me that the juvenile center used to be a breeding ground for crime until the university bought out the area and leveled the juvenile center. They were planning to make some housings, but the recession threw a wrench in their plans. We patrolled an apartment complex near the railroad because Officer Yaya said that is where a lot of the Sac State students live. He said it's usually not busy. Mainly Tuesday and Thursday is when it gets busy. He said I went with him during a typical slow day. Officer Yaya said all the officers work on 12-hour shifts. Here is Officer Yaya stopping a commercial vehicle. He ends up not giving this man a ticket. What a nice guy. There were a lot of gadgets in Officer Yaya's patrol car. There was the computer system which had useful information, such as where other officers are, what alerts have been put out, and the information of other vehicles and drivers. Officer Yaya showed me his shotgun that he had in the car, and he told me how to unlock it if the ride-along went bad. I can't tell if he was joking or not. He typically would also carry a rifle, but he chose not to today. Then there was the radio system, which he constantly used throughout the ride-along to call dispatch. Dispatch kinda acts like a secretary. He asks dispatch to find information for him or to report his position. It was kinda hard to follow all the jargon on the radio. Officer Yaya taught me one of the jargon. Code 4 means the officer does not need any help. Finally, there is the controls for the lights and sirens. Here are the pictures of all the gadgets. In the upper left is the computer system. It is capable of a lot more color than this picture shows. The radio is on the lower right, along with the intercom on the upper left. The light switch can also be seen in the lower right picture. Lastly, the shotgun is on the lower left. I was really surprised by the shotgun, so I asked him why he would need to use it. Officer Yaya said he never used it to shoot anyone before, but he had to use it to threat a lot of dangerous people. Here is me in Officer Yaya's car. As you can see, it was really hard to take a picture of myself. Officer Yaya and me had a lot of discussions, so I'd like to share all those things that I've learned. Officer Yaya used a lot of consensual encounters in order to get information. You can't do anything if someone refuses to talk, but still a very useful tool. He says getting a warrant for searches is very tedious, and because officers want to get things done right away. But the warrant process is at least easy, as judges usually grant warrant requests. Not getting a warrant can mean losing his job, so it also can be quite serious. I hear on the news that there is a lot of downsizing due to the economic downturn. So naturally I wondered, how does this affect the police? Officer Yaya said being an officer used to be a very secure job, but it can be very uncertain right now. The department has laid off many officers, and the officers that remain were often demoted in order to keep their jobs. Needless to say, many departments are not hiring right now. It is not a pretty picture, but at least being an officer is still more stable employment than many other fields. Officer Yaya himself feels secure, since there are guys more likely to go before he does due to his 7 years on the job, but he says he can't be 100% sure. Officer Yaya explained that he had a lot of discretion on traffic stops. Here are the 3 stops that happened during our trip. He stopped a guy running the red light, he stopped a lady with a broken taillight, and he stopped a guy with an expired vehicle registration tag. He let them all go without a ticket or cite. He explained thoroughly on why he let the guy running the red light go. He didn't have any prior records, he was very respectful, he was unsure if he actually ran the red light, and he was driving a commercial vehicle. Due to all this, Officer Yaya decided this guy did not deserve a ticket, and that the stop is there to educate him to be more patient and not to speed up and try to beat the yellow light. He may see something wrong and not stop it if it would cause traffic issues. He'd rather not enforce vehicle registration violations, but he will do so if it's obvious. He tells me, however, discretion stops at DUIs. Not only does he feel DUIs are very dangerous people, but letting a DUI violation go can result in losing his badge, his pay, his job, and he might even go to jail for negligence. So there's a lot of discretions, but not really for the serious crimes. So I wondered what was the biggest issue around campus. Turns out it's pretty quiet. There are fights, thieves, drugs, and traffic violations. Fights happen among the students. These are looking for anything to steal. Drug dealers sometimes deal with students, and traffic violations just happens everywhere. Violent crimes are rare, but they do happen. Officer Yaya mentions officer had to shoot someone down at the dorms very recently, or they had to investigate a rape that happened on campus. This seems different to South Sacramento, where I live. In South Sacramento, the biggest issue is the gang problem. I was given a paper asking what I got out of the ride-along. One of the questions that they asked was the preconceptions I had going into the ride-along. I'd like to end by discussing my preconceptions. Before accompanying Officer Yaya, I thought campus police was more like security guards than real policemen. Turns out this is not true. Many of the officers at this department came from diverse backgrounds. Some came from cities, or some came from rural areas. So the police are not only diverse, but they have law enforcement experiences in different jurisdictions. Officer Yaya put it to me this way: would I respond to a traffic stop differently from the campus police than from a CHP? Pretty much no. Only thing different between the two is the jurisdiction. Another preconception I had is officers like to give tickets to make money. My dad definitely thinks so, and one of my teachers mentioned that some departments have ticket quotas. So this is something I asked Officer Yaya about. Well, his department definitely doesn't focus on that. and Officer Yaya said he only gives ticket as a last resort. So I guess not all departments are like that. So, going on this ride-along has helped me to understand the mindset of an officer. I got to see how they function and what they do on a day-to-day basis. It was such a great experience and I learned a lot from my trip. I'd like to thank you all for listening.